And people will exploit those biases, but I think moving it on the
Batterson, that I did not.
Hi, I'm Keely, and I'm 10 years old. I am a LGBTQIA+ and furry support. As I'm talking more and more for my speech, my mind is filling up with embarrassment, but I am standing up to what I feel is right. When I think of a gay or trans person at school, the first thing that comes to my mind is that person being bullied. Isn't our school supposed to be bully-free? I think that LGBTQIA+ should be okay to the school. I mean, we can't even say gay in class. What's the point of your students not being able to be themselves? Literally, what's the point? I do not agree to these new lawyers. My time is not up. My dad wanted to show you my original draft. He just asked me if I wanted to speak today.
Keely, I would repeat my same sentiment to you that anytime one of our students gets at that podium, it is a brave thing to do to share your story, so thank you. And I will also, I want to affirm and hear you, I want you to hear from me and this board that you are correct that this school district does not tolerate bullying, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Greg Brunell, and you know the reason I'm here. Thank you for your patience with me retrieving my notes. They're notes and not a speech because I did ask Keely that today. She prepared that today. I typed it up and printed it out for her first with all of her errors. And she made me fix those. I'd like to reserve the right to speak again at the end of the meeting. But that only took 30 seconds? All right. Good evening, parents, blah, 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 especially students. Especially students, that's what this is about. I hope my fifth grade learner is not the only student present, as is the reason we're all here today. It is prescient. Some synonyms of prescient include predictive, predictive of future strife, death, mental health crises, and suicide. The students, these kids, our kids, know what's going on more than any of us with a driver's license or a W-2 in this room right now. Some are ashamed of their parents' xenophobia. Some are beyond that and having mental health struggles or dealing with self-harm instead of being able to come out to you, or even be able to bring that up, that they may be struggling with the sexuality. That would be the Q in LGBTQ. My older daughter, Elena Purnell, graduated Warwick last year. During her time at the high school, she was featured in the newspaper for having helped stage a walkout in protest of bullying of one or more of her classmates. I'm proud of Elena for this and so much more. At Keely's age, Elena was a lesbian crying on the floor to her mother and I, "Why can't I just effing like girls?" I'm not sure where her sexual identity or preferences lie now, but I am glad she made it through that and is the person she is today that I'm so very proud of. Sammy Toish, a 10-year-old boy in Indiana, killed himself just 16 days ago after being bullied relentlessly at school. His family had raised alarms to the school at least 20 times in the last year. Sammy, a fourth grader, you're in fifth, right? Was bullied right up until the day he died by suicide on May 5th, a day of rest, especially here in Lancaster and Warwick. I held him in my arms, his dad, Sam Toish said. I did the thing no father should ever have to do, and anytime I close my eyes, it's all that I can see. They were making fun of him for his glasses in the beginning, then on to make fun of his teeth. It went on for a long time. I have 13 seconds, so just imagine if Sammy had to use a different bathroom or couldn't play the sport on the team he wanted. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Next to the podium is Esther De La Cruz, Marion Chateau, followed by William List.
Good evening. My name is Esther De La Cruz. I'm a Lititz resident. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 2 children in the district, and I'm your friendly neighborhood lesbian. As I shared last week, I am deeply troubled by this board's stated intention to partner with the radical religious law firm Independence Law Center, and specifically registered Pennsylvania lobbyist Randall Wenger, to consult on Warwick's Title IX policy. At the board meeting of November 7th, 2024, a member of this board stated that Randall Wenger is a personal friend of his, so he knows he's a good man and that's good enough for him. That's not enough for me. I dare say that a lot of people in the community feel that they deserve a bit more. Our children deserve a bit more. However, as was made abundantly clear at the May 7th meeting, you hold the power. The board leadership has stated its intent, and I expect the membership to acquiesce. Mr. Wenger and the ILC were not sought for their expertise in education or athletics. They have no expertise in science or biology. They were sought to create trans-exclusionary policy because they specialize in anti-LGBTQ legislation. As you move forward, I urge you to be clear in the language used in any new policy you craft. I remind you that biological male and biological female are not recognized medical terms. The American Medical Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics have both stated that these are not helpful terms. The American Medical Association defines biological sex as a composite of 5 different characteristics: external genitalia, internal genitalia, chromosomes, secondary sex characteristics like fat distribution, facial hair, and bone structure. Those are all one, sorry. And intrinsic personal identity. Intersex people make up a significantly greater per capita segment of the population than transgender people. Please do not forget the impact that your policies will have on our intersex students. Some of the many varieties that we come in are 1 in every 1,665 human births is a child born with something called Klinefelter's sign. It's instead of 2X or an XY chromosome, you have XXY. This can be obvious immediately in ambiguous external genitalia, or you may not find out until puberty. Another fascinating genetic variation is androgen insensitivity syndrome. There are cases in which certain genes are not recognized, and an individual with XY chromosomes develops either traditional female external genitalia or external and internal genitalia that are ambiguous. Sometimes this is discovered during puberty, sometimes it's obvious right away. The South African runner, Caster Semenya, famously had a complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. She was born with external female genitalia, typical of a female, was assigned female at birth, and at some point became aware that she had XY chromosomes. She does not have a uterus or ovaries, but she's been a woman her entire life. Additionally, as you craft your policy, please state specifically how you intend to police and enforce it. If one of our athletic teams faces off against a district that does not employ an
Thank you for
exclusionary
your
policy,
comments this
how
evening.
will we prove our girls
Thank
are
you for your
girls?
comments this evening, Ms. Dela Cruz.
Good evening. My name is Marion Chateau, and my topic is the danger of engaging with the Independence Law Center, relating to Agenda Item 8. The ILC calls itself a religious liberty law firm, but the liberty they support is the exact opposite of our nation's declared liberty and justice for all. Instead, the liberty they advocate is reserved for a small minority who are determined to impose their rigid, corrosive, distorted reading of Christian scripture on all the rest of us. Currently, the ILC is targeting the LGBTQ+ community, infiltrating school districts and helping their boards to write policies which marginalize vulnerable youth and deny access to accurate medical information about sexual orientation and gender identity. Their tactics negate young people's sense of self-worth by refusing to acknowledge their true identities and removing from libraries books which depict them in a positive light. The ILC is part of a nationwide network advocating the Seven Mountains Mandate. This movement calls for the takeover of 7 major areas of culture, education being one of them, and imposing authoritarian religious laws and leadership. It cares nothing for respecting individual freedom of conscience or government by the will of the governed. Freedom is not license to harm others or coerce them to one's will. Right action and right relationship are the roots of true liberty. Forcing others to conform to the authority of one restrictive faith is not religious freedom. Engaging with the ILC can only bring discord, division, and harm to our community. Students, teachers, and staff will suffer the consequences. I urge the school board to firmly reject any plan to engage with them now or in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mrs. Chateau. Is William here? William List. Okay,
Bill List.
I think we'll move on, Mrs. Lawyer. Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll hear from Christina Smoker, followed by Julia Walker and Veronica Meyer.
Good evening. Christina Smoker, agenda item number 8. It has been quick remarks of a board member, and there was fear that I was going to name names and directly address someone with my accusations. So you told me to stop. I pushed back and was told that you were a different board. Things were different now. It is true that there were newer members elected at that time, but those members are still on the board, and things have not changed. There are even more members sitting up there that I have called out publicly regarding their behavior. I have not spoken at board meetings because I felt that my comments will be readily dismissed. You know who I am. You know where I stand. You can label me as a liberal Democrat and move on with your agenda. But I realized that by not speaking up, I have allowed you to silence me again. What is different tonight is the gloves are off. But there's no need to name names. You will out yourselves. Your vote in favor of the ILC will identify you as a supporter of white Christian nationalism, a supporter of racism and homophobia. This brand of hate may be the majority view of the board, but it is the minority view in the community. I encourage you to listen to your community as a whole. They spoke out 2 weeks ago. They are speaking out tonight. Do the right thing for all students. Vote against the ILC. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Mrs. Smoker.
My name is Julia Walker. I live in Lititz at 3 Tara Drive. My 3 grown children are all Warwick graduates who went on to become successful, accomplished citizens, thanks in large part to the excellent education they received here. And today, 2 of my grandchildren are at Bonfield, and it is them that I am worried about. I'm worried about my grandchildren, but it is because it is clear to me that this school board isn't focused on the truly important issues. Signing a contract with the Independence Law Center, a firm whose sole mission is to make